You are a taxi driver. Paris is your city, and you know it's every corner. During one of your night shifts, you get attacked by an unknown serial killer and left for dead. You didn't see the killer's face, and hopefully whoever it was didn't see yours. Fast forward a couple of weeks as you leave the hospital and get back behind the wheel. A corrupt detective gives you an ultimatum. Help her find the killer, or she'll pin the murders on you. Night Call is a noir game where you'll pick up passengers, drive them to their destination, and find time to gather clues and pay your bills. In this non-linear narrative experience designed to be replayable, you can encounter more than 70 characters and find 3 different killers. Among your passengers are 5 suspects, one of them guilty, the rest innocent enough. If one of the suspects enters your taxi, you'd better pay attention. One might accidentally slip some evidence or even decide to finish the job should they recognize you. The killer in one case may be innocent in another. Keep in mind that outside of the investigation, life must go on. Each action you take will cost you precious time. Which passengers do you pick up? What clues do you follow up on? Where do you go? In Night Call, the choices are yours. Just remember, the clock is ticking.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Night Call launch stream. Here we are with the developers of Night Call, or at least some of them, and we're all here in black and white to celebrate the fact that this is a black and white game before anyone starts wondering why there's no color. The game has a bit of color, but it's only really black and white and a bit of yellow. So there you go. My name is Liam O'Neill. I'm the producer and protector of the realm here at Raw Fury, publishers of Night Call. And above me is 3 different humans, and one of them is visible currently, which is Confidant. Hello.
Hello.
Would you like to introduce yourself for the viewers at home?
Sure, I'm the audio guy on Netcall. I did the music and the sounds and blips and blobs for the game.
The blips and blobs. Was that a blip blop reference?
No, that's just
That's a sequence.
a lame way to introduce myself, I guess.
It's all good. So Confidant made the awesome soundtrack that you've been hearing if you've been watching the pre-stream countdown. Played a few tracks off that. So we'll get to hear some more of the sound and the music. Also joining us on stream is Laurent. Hello, Laurent.
Hello. Hello.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Laurent. I'm the French guy. I'm kind of the project lead on that thing, and I'm the one who is responsible for all the bugs. So it's my work. It's my job, people.
If you have a bug, blame Laurent.
Yeah, it's me. It's me, all Liam, but because he asked me to do all the bugs.
Fantastic. And what do you do on the project?
Me?
Aside from leading the project.
Oh yeah, some programming, you know. That ends the bugs. So I'm a programmer, and I try to push some clean code. So when I can, it's not always easy, but I can do that.
Awesome. And also joining us is Anthony. Hello, Anthony.
Hey everyone.
Who are you and what do you do?
Hello. So I'm Anthony. I'm the writer of Night Call, and that's because of me that people are going to spend a lot of time reading words, and I'm very sorry for that.
Okay. I think the camera just died. Let me see. I think Anthony's camera just died. But everyone else is fine. That's really strange.
Oh, it's me. It's definitely on me.
Okay.
I'm going to try again.
I'm going to try to fix this. There we go.
Is it working? Yes, I'm back. Sorry.
It's all good. So before we jump into the game, I think it's important to say this is a very narrative game, and obviously the way we're going to be playing it now, it might be difficult to follow some of the dialogue and everything. We're going to be focusing more on talking about the game and the development of the game, taking your questions if you have any to the viewers out there. So if you are more interested in just watching pure gameplay, I'm sure there are other streams you can check out for that. But if you want to have a chance to talk with the developers and get a bit of insight into the development, this is your stream. So we're very happy to see so many people joining in. Oh wow, there's actually hundreds of people. Oh boy. So hopefully we'll have hundreds of questions, and hopefully some really tricky ones. We want to try to avoid spoilers. But before we get into the game itself, do you want to give just a brief summary of what Nightcall is? For anyone who might not have heard of it.
It's gonna be for me, right?
Yeah, Anthony's for
I
you.
know that. I know that silence. I know that silence very well. It's for me. So Nightcall is a non-linear narrative game in which you play a taxi driver in Paris. You are being tasked by the police. You're being forced by the police, actually, into investigating a serial killer case. So you're gonna have to talk to your passengers, investigate, gather enough clues to be able at the end of the you have 1 week at the end of the week to decide which suspect is a killer.
Awesome. So spoiler
And
alert,
that's-
someone died.
Someone died. And another big spoiler is that you are one of the victims of the killer. You survived barely, so the game. So you feel that you're being tracked by the killer also. So it's quite tense.
Very cool. Let's jump right into it, and we'll play some Nightcall. We are playing on a. Okay, before we do this, I'm gonna very quickly check something. I don't want to spoil it. There we go. We're fine. This is okay. We're going back to gameplay, folks. Okay. We're playing on a new save, and I'm playing on a sort of fresh account. Because one of the cool things in Nightcall is actually down here. It's called the Passidex. So the Passidex is this really cool little system that tracks all of the people, all the passengers that you've met while playing Nightcall. And it doesn't just track them within a single playthrough, it'll actually track them through multiple playthroughs. So we're going to see this populate over time, and we can talk some more about this. But I want a fresh account, so we're hopefully not going to spoil too much today, and we'll see where it goes. So, I have lots of saves. I'm deleting one. Here we go. So, guys, which case should we do? Because there's actually several different cases you can play to find a total of 3 different serial killers. So we have the judge, which is good for a first run. And why is that?
Well, so the 3 cases are designed in a way that they are different. So the judge is a very straightforward case. I think that you can guess who's the killer quite easily. The Sandman is a bit harder. It's kind of hard to find. I mean, each suspect has a really good reason to murder all the victims. And the Angel of Death is probably the hardest. It's a bit of a weird, quirky investigation. So I think that the judge will be perfect for streaming. I think it's a good way to start.
We could do the judge, or we could do the surprise investigation. So which one would you prefer?
So surprise investigation is quite funny because we're gonna randomly select one of the available investigation. So it's gonna be a surprise. So we're gonna start playing and then we will not know who's the killer. So it's gonna be nice. We can do that if you want. I mean,
What do you think?
But I still don't know who the killer is anyway. So
You've never played the game, Laurent. Two years you've worked on this.
What's the name again?
Okay, well, let's do a surprise. Let's just do it. See what we find. So we have 3 different difficulty modes as well. We have story, and we have balanced, and we have hard. So balanced is the way that Nightcall was designed. But if you want to have a bit more of a challenge, you can go for hard mode. You'll have less money. The actions you take are going to take longer time, so you have a bit less time to play with. And there's story mode, which is a bit more chill. So for the case of the stream, let's just go with balanced. The way it was designed. Grim Reaper Alva says hello. Hello, Grim Reaper Alva.
Hello.
Here we have the intro.
I think that there is an issue, right? Where are all the colors? Why is it just black and white?
oh,
Nightcall
God.
is a noir game, Laurent, and
Oh
as
yeah,
such,
that's why.
the artists have decided to opt for a colorless look. And it looks stunning.
Clever.
That looks really, really cool. There's a little bit of yellow there, though. So there is a little bit of color, but not much. Someone's behind us, and oh, there we go. Whoop. So you guys, are you guys watching the stream at the same time?
Yeah, with the delay. I think I have a 30-second delay or something.
Yeah, so please, Liam, don't spoil
Yeah,
what's happening.
Yeah. Okay. So we've woken up in the hospital. We obviously got attacked, and the very first part of the game here, the doctor's asking us, "Can we hear them? Do they need to speak up?" And we have a few choices. So Nightcall is very much a game about making choices and seeing where they lead. Right now, we can ask the doctor who's talking to us to speak louder, or we can say that they're fine, or we can just say we don't understand. So, Corentin, you choose. What are we doing?
Well, one of the first choices is actually pretty fun, because if you choose to ask for the doctor to speak up, it would actually increase the font size so you can better see if you are far from the screen or just need a bigger typo. So yeah, it just I'll say we are fine.
You're fine?
Yeah.
And you can change your mind. So I'm just going to demonstrate. I can ask her to speak up. I can ask her to speak even more loud. I can say not so loud, actually. A little louder. Not so loud. You can kind of have some fun with this. And then you can go down and you can actually, yeah, it's fine. We're good. There's a question from Grim Reaper Alva. Do you make choices in the story that affect the narrative, or is it a linear progression? That's a really good question. This is one of the key things about Nightcall. So Anthony, do you want to maybe answer that a little bit?
Yeah, of course. Can you just say the question again?
Yeah. The question was, do you make choices in the story that affect the narrative, or is it linear progression?
So sorry, I was not listening. Oh my god. What a shame.
I'll do it again if you...
Yeah, so... No, it's okay. This time I got it. So actually, yes. First of all, depending on which character you're going to get in your cab, you're going to get different clues. Depending on the moment of the week when you're investigating some specific elements, you're going to get different clues. Depending on some characters that you meet, you will be allowed to meet other characters. So yes, it's even if the game has a beginning, a middle, and an end, it's still a very, I say, non-linear game in which you decide the order in which you meet the characters and everything. So I think it's important to try to be as honest as possible, frank as possible with the characters that you are meeting, because you can't really plan in advance what is going to happen. That's what was interesting for us.
I think as you saw in the Patsy decks menu that I showed earlier, there's actually 75 different characters you can meet through the game. So part of that non-linear experience is you don't know who you're going to meet. And if you play the game one time, you'll only meet a portion of all the characters that are available. And you might meet people in a certain order that if you meet person A and you make certain choices and talk to them in a certain way, that might actually unlock other dialogues with other characters, which you may or may not meet. So there's a lot of nuance and detail if you just dive into it.
You get some characters that you will see often. You can meet some characters 8-10 times. So it is quite, I think, quite crucial when you play the game to just follow the music. You know, it's you're never really sure what's gonna happen, and I really hope that people will be surprised by our characters.
So we're starting the game. We're out on the map. We've left the hospital. We've been out for about a month, and the boss, our boss, is in the back seat. I'm just gonna be really quiet. Sometimes you can just choose to say nothing, which, in some cases,
is the most it's the most important feature of the game, actually.
It's being silent through every
because
dialogue.
Yeah, you can just drive and let people talk if they want to talk, and that's the key of your job actually.
We're gonna just let him go on. He's telling us a story we've heard before. Decided to start the cab fleet. Now he's got 45 guys working for him. Legend. None of them are any match for you. I bet he says that to everyone, right?
Yeah, maybe.
So
Yeah, it's kind of a.
the boss is kind of nice because he's a bit of a tutorial character. In a way, he tells you about how the game works, describes a few mechanics, but you can actually just tell him, no, we're good. Played the game before, we don't need the tutorial. He's a little persistent and like, come on, just because he's worried about you. The story here is you're out of the hospital, this is the first time you're back in the taxi, and you're just, no, I'm fine, I got this. He's a little worried, so we're just gonna say, no, we're good. We don't need the tutorial. Okay, that led us back to work. Gives us a half ironic, half serious smile. You can count on me, boss. That's totally not the voice of the main character, right? That's not how he sounds.
You decide, you know.
I mean, it's your game, literally. So you can do the voices you want, Liam. But yeah, he kind of sounded like a Solid Snake right here.
Okay, back to the night shift.
Yep.
And now it begins. So Laurent,
Yep.
two things. First of all, there's a character here that looks a lot like you. He looks a lot like you. And also...
Yeah, he wasn't. Yeah, he wasn't supposed to look like me at first, but
I don't believe that for a second.
it's a special. It's a special character that we created because he's really, really special, and we needed someone special because you know that I'm kind of weird sometimes, and that's why we decided that could be me. We wanted to have someone of the team displayed on the game, and yep.
That's awesome. But the other thing I wanted to ask you about, if I zoom out, what we're seeing here, this is Paris. This is real world Paris, and you've actually recreated real life maps in order to create what we're looking at.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the real map of Paris. It's 15 square kilometers, so it's way too big for a video game. Don't do that at home. And yeah, you can actually travel wherever you want on the map. The passengers will appear at some place and want to go to some specific places. And yeah, it's the actual city.
That's awesome. So we're going to start with picking up Laurent. I mean, he's not actually named Laurent in the game. We'll find out what he's named in just a
No,
second.
it's not me. It's someone else. But he looks like me.
Sunny Talpa. Okay, so Sunny tells us nothing, but he tells us that he's got a destination which is 6.34 kilometers away, which is something else in miles for those of you who are uninitiated with kilometers, and he wants to pay us 16.49 euros, and that is without the tip. That's what the fare is. There's a whole mechanic about tips we'll talk about in a bit. You can also see here at the top right, this is how long it's going to take for us to get this far. And this is going to become more and more important as the game goes on, is who do you pick up? Because the time is going to be running out. So we're going to accept Sunny. We're going to pick him up. There's a question here from Honey, where is my donkey? Yes, that's a real name. Given the non-linear and or roguelite nature of the game, do you intend to introduce more storyline and more dialogue with more characters and killers, including so far not yet killer characters becoming killers? Oof. That's a really good question. I think there are a few answers here.
Yeah. The very short answer is yes. We can't really say more right now, but the idea is that it is quite easy to add new characters and new investigation. I think that our goal right now is to sleep, and then our second goal is to make sure that the current game is working for everyone. And then we'll start thinking about new content if the game is successful enough. But this is something that it's kind of funny, because when we started working on the game, we wanted to have like 100 characters, and we made the system in such a way that it is very, very easy to add new characters. And then as we progressed, as we got closer to a release date, we were so tired. We're just like, I don't think we want to do anything else for it. And then for the past maybe months, we are starting to have new ideas for the game. So this is really important for us too. I think we are going to think really hard about adding new characters, but this is something that we really want to do.
Absolutely. I think we're all kind of in agreement that this launch now, this is just the start, and we want to do lots more with this game, and then we'll just have to see where that goes.
Yeah.
So on the first night of the game, there's very few things on the map, and that's by design. As we start getting into the second night, we start to see a lot more things. Now we have two choices here. I happen to know that this is Purva and this is Shore, if I'm not butchering those names.
Yeah,
So,
no, it's perfect.
So who do we go to?
We should maybe do Purva.
Okay.
She's depressing enough. I think everyone will understand
depressing
how
enough.
depressing our game
This
is.
is probably this is a good time to say this is a game that deals with a lot of mature themes. It is
Yes.
the kind of game that is, we talk about it being inspired by real life stories, and a lot of the characters in the game are actually based on things that have happened. I know that like Anthony, there are a few characters we talked about a lot earlier in development, and we said, it's a pretty crazy story, and you said, yeah, it actually happened. And I think that's part of the charm, and part of what makes it feel very real is a lot of these things did happen. Even if you maybe like inserted them into a fiction or an imaginary character, it still resonates true. If that makes sense. So it's a game that I just want to. Sorry, I totally lost my train of thought. But it's a little bit of a trigger warning potentially. Like, this is a game that deals with a lot of mature themes. It deals with depression, and it deals with politics. It deals with things like suicide. Lots of stuff that might offend people in all sorts of ways. So if that's not up your alley, stop watching now. Go check out another live stream. We're sorry, but if you think that sounds intriguing, we're here to deep dive into that. So yes, Anthony, continue, and I'll pick up.
No, I think it's kind of funny because this afternoon I was going through some streams online. I was kind of curious to see what people were thinking about the game, and I joined two of them, and in the two we had different characters, but every time people on the streams were just sharing a lot of stories related to that character. I think that the themes are of course quite depressing. I think, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. But it's also a lot of characters are actually actively looking for solutions. They're trying to find ways to get out of that situation, and you are potentially a way for them to unlock solutions. And I think it is very, for me, it was very important that the character is like a problem solver, even if he's not gonna go to your house and fix something, but he's gonna listen to you. He's not a plumber, but he's going to listen to you with a very objective point of view, and he's going to say, you should do that. Definitely, I think it could be a good idea, a good solution for you. And a lot of themes. We did a lot of research for the game. And it was vital that the characters are grounded in reality, even if we have a lot of weird stuff that's going to happen. I'm pretty sure you should stick around, because or not. If you really what I would suggest is that if you think about buying the game, you should actually buy the game now and stop looking at the stream. If you're not sure, you should stay with us for a while, and then you'll be able to see what kind of funny, weird, awkward characters are coming later. And I think they will probably convince you that the game is not that bleak, depressing.
The thing and kind of an achievement, and it's weird to say that we had several players who actually cried playing that game, and the because of the nature of the dialogues and characters, and it's really weird as a game developer to say I'm kind of happy that people understand the game so much that they could actually cry playing it. So it's a weird feeling.
Yeah.
I have to add that even though there are a lot of dark themes, it's not a depressing game.
No, not at all.
Something that you could play. Like it's not a Silent Hill game where you feel depressed at the end. It's actually very well written because Anthony is quite talented, and a lot of characters are going to make you feel happy and just upgoing, and it's not a depressing game. I mean,
yeah, that game just it deals with feelings, whatever they are. So you are going to, probably be touched by some passengers, or cry, or maybe laugh, or
You're gonna
be
want
happy.
to punch them in the face as well.
And
Oh my god, yes.
yeah, you can do that. Yeah. And yep, it's a different game.
So, and Purva is such a good example of a character as well, where if you're paying attention to the dialogue here, we're talking and it's hard to read and listen at the same time. Don't blame you. But Purva's story is she's basically on her way to meet her husband, or her future husband, who she's never met before. So it's an arranged marriage, and she's not happy about it, as you can imagine. So you have this chance to talk to someone who's obviously in a very very difficult situation and a very hard time. But I think one of the cool things about the narrative and the choices that you have is this isn't. And Anthony, you got to stop me if I'm wrong here, right?
I will stop you right away.
The way I like to look at Nightcall is it's not a role playing game. You know, you're not inventing a new character and trying to determine how you would react in situations. You're watching a character, which is the driver. You're participating in their life, and you can pull the strings a little bit. But this is a person with their own story, which you'll learn as the game goes on, and most importantly, I think, with their own opinions. So when you are in certain dialogues and we have certain characters in the taxi, you can do things like choose the option to tell the truth or choose the option to lie, and you'll learn something about the driver and what he feels when he thinks. And at the same time, you can totally just choose. You know, it's obvious what he thinks about certain characters because the choices will be things like telling someone they're an asshole, which you'll totally not get a tip from that guy. You can throw people out of your taxi at certain points. Like, there's lots of things you can do which you'll come to understand, oh, this is who this character is. This is what he would do. But you can also pull the strings a bit and say, well, actually, maybe that's not the best idea, even if he feels that way. Maybe I'll just be nice to this character and, you know, they'll leave and they'll give me a tip. It'll be good. I think that's one of the cool things. You're glimpsing into a very real character instead of making your own, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It's going to take you several playthroughs to, I think, completely understand what is happening. Who is the driver? Like,
yeah.
There was very there was quite a starting point for us that if we had to create your own character and have, I mean, if the game was about you create your own avatar, it would have required us to write a lot more, like so much more lines, and I think I already wrote too much. So let's not talk about that.
You lose something as well when you do that. I mean, they're cool in different ways.
I think it is. It's a kind of a different philosophy. It's you can like it, you can dislike it. I mean, it's up to you. But it was. I think the funny thing about that is that when we started on the game, I had an idea of who the driver was really, but I was not sure until I already wrote maybe like a good third, maybe half of the game, and then I was sure about who the character was. So it was. I have to thank my colleagues and partners because they were like, "But who is he?" I was like, "Yeah, you'll see," and I was just like, "Sure, I hope it's gonna be good." But I'm really happy about how it turned out.
There is something really cool that happened with you, Liam. Actually, I never told you that, but at some point during the development, you played a specific passenger, and during the dialogue, you chose to learn more about the driver, and you immediately came back to me and told me, "Oh, but the driver is na na na," and it was great because at that moment I knew that you got it. You understood what the game was all about, and the genius behind the dialogues and the narrative. So it's really cool.
I think it's one of the things where if you play Nightcall for 30 minutes, you don't even like peck the surface of what's underneath in terms of story. There's so many layers to it, and you know, I think at its core it's the story of the driver and getting to know this person. But on top of that, there's the story of these serial killers, these 3 killers that you have to find in the investigation. And then there's another layer, which is the stories of the individual characters. Because a lot of them have nothing to do with the actual investigation that you get brought into. Like we're seeing right now, this character, Busset, which is a police lieutenant. She's basically blackmailing us right now in real time, live on air.
Not nice.
She's not a nice person. She's blackmailing us into helping her find the killer, and she is threatening us that if we don't manage to find the killer, she is going to blame the murders on us and basically frame us for the killings. And you might wonder, well, what is it that we've done that would make the public think that we're a killer? That opens up a little box of like, who's the killer, but also who's this driver? He's not Batman. We know that already.
Yeah, it's not Batman.
Unfortunately, it's not Batman. I think that Laurent and I would be absolutely super excited about making a Batman game.
Yes, please, let's do that.
Let's do that, Laurent.
We already have all the colors needed for a Batman game. So
yeah, it's true. Black, white, yellow. It's perfect.
So if you're just tuning into the stream, this is the launch stream of Nightcall. Nightcall is a non-linear narrative noir game set in Paris. You play this taxi driver, gets blackmailed into helping the police in finding a killer. And here we are with the developers, Anthony, Corentin, and Laurent, just above me, pointing up like, I hope that's working. We're here to answer your questions about Nightcall, play a bit of it, hopefully not spoil too much. So it's a story-driven game. But because it's a non-linear game, our playthrough will be different from your playthrough when you go and buy the game right now, here on wherever you're watching.
Well done.
I don't want to say any of the names here. So Busset is not a nice person. What's her deal? Like, what's her story?
She was nice once.
Yeah, one time I read something about that. One time she was nice.
Hey, Julius Caesar. So here's one of those situations where I like this, and it's not just because of the nature of what we're able to say. We can call Busset something quite rude, or we can say nothing. And it's this glimpse into like the driver's internal feelings of there's this thing he really wants to say, but then there's probably what's like the clever choice. And you get a lot of these moments throughout the game where you can just choose. Do you want to say what's on the driver's mind, or should we say nothing? So we're gonna say nothing. She's gonna keep talking.
Oh, really? Why? Why? You're scared, right?
Well, you know, she is kind of terrifying. Look at those eyebrows. Okay. She's ready to kill. Pretty sure. So far, I'm pretty sure she's the killer. But she's left the taxi. Okay. And now we have the clear, so we can call her. I won't say it. Question from Grim Reaper Alva: how long will the game take to finish? It's a pretty tricky question to answer. Actually, it's something we It's something that we've struggled to answer internally, funnily enough. I know that sounds like a total cop-out, and that's not a joke about the cop who was just in our taxi getting out. That would be no fun at all, especially if I tried to explain it afterwards. But it's hard to answer this question because it's non-linear, and it is very dependent also on how long you want to take to think and read and just mesh with the world. So if we had to answer a single case, if you wanted to do one killer, I'm going to say somewhere between 3 and 5 hours. What do you guys say?
Yeah, it totally depends on how fast you can read and how much you want to read. So you can finish the game in 3 hours, or
You can finish one
at
case.
least one killer.
One case.
No.
Yeah, one case. Sorry.
Yeah, you can finish the game, a case in 3 hours if you don't read.
And if you
read
don't
the
fail
text.
as well, by the way. You can get a game
And
over.
if you don't fail, but if you actually, I would say that if you play the game, read and take time to think about the killer and everything, it's more like 5 hours. I would say 5 hours per case.
Yeah.
And we have 3 cases in the game.
3 cases.
So do the math, because I'm the writer, so I'm not gonna multiply 3 by 5. It's way above my pay grade.
So here we go. We've just entered the apartment, which belongs to the driver.
Nice.
It's a little after, well, it's almost 1. And here happens the investigation. Here happens. That's not English. These are our 5 suspects for this case. So we are looking for the killer named the Sandman in this particular case. And it's one of these 5 people. As far as we know, it's one of these 5 people. I'm not going to say who it is, but it's one of these 5 people. And in order to figure out who it is, we're going to have to investigate.
I think I know.
You think-
I
Figured it
know
out?
also.
Should we just...
Yeah.
Okay, let's just cancel the stream. And if you guys already know, like what's... Oh, the viewers. Oh, never mind.
Sorry.
So we on the board we have clues, and so far we have 1 clue. So we heard something during the first night, which is actually kind of unusual. We heard that the Albatross fire, whatever that is, gave millions in insurance money, which is interesting. And our source is a customer. So one of the people we had in the taxi told us this, and that would mean that one of these 2 suspects, Anita and Geraldine, is potentially guilty. So this particular clue points towards these 2 characters. You can hide specific clues as well if you think like, oh, this isn't relevant, I can put it down there, I can just kind of hide it, bring it back up, and I can toggle my suspects. So if I don't think that Anita did it, for example, I can just kind of toggle her out, and over the course of the game you might decide that actually this person hasn't killed anyone, so it's probably fine, or at least they haven't killed the people you're trying to solve the murder for. And down here on the table we have documents that we acquire throughout the course of the game. So sometimes these are things that come up during a night, sometimes they're things that get sent to our apartment by the police, for example, or by other characters, hint hint, and we can spend time investigating them. So I'm going to do that now. So now we got 2 new clues. They end up on the board. So guys, this is obviously a really big part of the game. Do you want to talk a little bit more about the investigation?
Yeah, I can, if you want. I think it's really important to note that when the game starts, you have quite a limited number of clues. And then by the end of the week, you have to catch the killer. You're going to have 25, 30, 40 clues on your wall. So I think your main objective outside of the room is to talk to customers, to gather new clues. But once you're in the room, your goal is really to tidy everything up, to classify information, try to find the narrative threads that make sense. You can use, you have an option to, you can hide suspects or clues that you don't think are relevant to your investigation. So I think it's really important that every night you just classify the information so you get an idea of who might be the killer and why they might be a killer. And especially in this story where there is a lot of additional story in the background, And yeah, it's going to depend. Honestly, the difficulty of the investigation is going to depend on how good you are with your clients, how diligent you are in doing your work and going outside, visiting investigation locations, paying sometimes other informants, and being nice to some customers, some passengers that will give you specific clues.
So there's a lot here, but I think one of the cool things as well about the game is one of the things that gets emphasized a bit in this screen. You can even see that just by looking at these clues. You can see they're kind of messy and they're not exactly put up on the board nicely. They're all kind of skewed around, and you can tell that this is someone who isn't a professional. But that was quite intentional, right?
Yeah. You are not a private detective. You're not a cop. You're not Sherlock Holmes. This is. Of course, this is an investigation game, but it's not about you going and using a microscope to discover the DNA or something. It's not about that. It's more about getting information and letting your ear out when you're driving around and to find information for the cop. I think this is a crucial side. So. My take is that if you're really into, how can I say that? It's not Sherlock Holmes games. I really like the games that Frogwares has been making for years, but they are very linear, those are games where you have to find the right clue, otherwise you can't move to the next step. This is a game where you can play for 3 hours, meet a lot of people, and you're gonna be goddamn sure that this character this suspect is the right killer, but you're gonna be wrong because you didn't get enough clues and you didn't get the right ones. So I think it's more about finding narrative threads. And currently, Liam, you're playing exactly the way I play the game. Very, very tidy. I just do like groups of clues.
about the Sherlock Holmes thing is, it's funny because when we started working on that, Anthony told me very early that he didn't want to make a game where you have superpowers. And it's what the game is all about. You're just a human being, and the only thing you know is driving, and the only superpower that you have is that you can actually travel through the city, and you know that city very well. So it's cool to have a game where you it's my point of view, and I made that game, so you probably don't have to trust me on that, but it's cool to have a game where you are not supposed to be stronger than the usual human being or better than the regular and average human being. You can just be a human being after all and just play the game, and people won't expect you to stop bullets or to make deductions real fast. The only thing you can do is travel the city and talk with people.
I completely agree. I'm biased. So here we are.
Yeah, I know. You are basically paid for that. So.
Yes. So here we are, laying down at the end of the night with a cigarette. It's very French, and just kind of zoning out, thinking about the night.
Don't smoke.
Don't smoke. Smoking is really bad.
Really.
Yeah.
But actually, I've stopped smoking during this.
Thanks to Night.
So yeah, don't smoke, guys.
He started drinking instead.
Yeah, if you buy Nightcall, you're gonna stop smoking.
That's true.
So I think it's crucial that you buy Nightcall if you want to stop smoking.
Nightcall,
and the loved ones will come back.
Okay, so here we go. Night 2 has begun. And
this is actually a very French. I have to say something.
Yeah.
Liam, I'm sorry, but this is I've traveled a lot. I've been really lucky to travel a lot while doing Nightcall, and we French people smoke way too much. Just it is insane. I mean, I shouldn't use insane, but this is not normal. I mean, everywhere I go, every country, you're just like, whoa, people are not smoking that much. This is good. You're good. You're it's a right this is a right civilization, and then you go back to France and you see like 5 people smoking outside, just like this all day long, and it's really tiring. So it is my first and also my last game with people smoking. I can tell you that.
Because I know there was an idea for a while that the driver smoking was going to be like a bigger mechanic in the game.
Yeah.
And unfortunately that, or maybe fortunately that didn't make it in at the end of the day. But there you go.
We will see. We
We'll
never
see.
know.
So
Yeah, I will let you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry. So here we are, night 2. Now we have a bunch more stuff on the map. Most importantly, of course, we have all of the passengers, but we also have these little icons, which are gas stations. And I'll let you guess what you can do there. And then there are these little eye icons. These are points of interest where you can go and basically follow up on a lead. So as part of the investigation, in order to find clues and try to track down the killer, keep an eye out for keep an eye out for the eye icon.
Yeah.
You want to go there because it's useful. It'll take you some time, but these are the points where you'll probably get some of the best clues in the game. And another thing that you want to look out for right now is you know who your 5 suspects are. Hopefully you memorized it during the night or wrote it down, but you know who your 5 suspects are. If you see any of those on the map, it's a very good idea to go and try to find them. And before we go find anyone, I'm going to show you the Pasidex, which we have now started to fill up a little. So I promised we'd talk more about this. And for anyone who missed the very start of the stream, the Pasidex is a system which basically tracks every character you meet in Nightcall. So even if you play several playthroughs, it keeps track of everything. And it even, if you're playing on Steam, for example, it stores it in the cloud, which is really nice. But this is the place where you can kind of collect them all a little bit. And with each character...
Yeah, that's why it's called the Pasidex.
The Pasidex. Trademark pending.
Yeah, sorry.
So another cool thing in the Pasidex is you're collecting these bullet points, which are moments with each character. So with Purva, we met her and we talked about her husband-to-be. We can now tell that we've actually had every conversation possible with this character. She's one of those characters you meet once and then it's kind of over. You don't really know where her story goes after that. But there are characters like Sunny, who's okay, he's the same in this case. There are characters like the boss, for example, where there are several moments that we still have yet to unlock. And this gives you a bit of replay value, but it also gives you an indicator that some of these characters that you've met, you haven't seen everything that they have to say. Some characters come back quite a lot to share with you new stories and new moments. Is there something else that you guys want to say about the Pasidex system?
It's the heart of the game. At some point, we ask ourselves if we needed to cut it or remove it from the game because we were running late and stuff. And it's definitely one of the great idea we had and Anthony had, because it's the internal achievement system of the game. You will know when you have something else to discover about the passengers. It's like the heart of the game, and I really like it, and I'm really happy we didn't cut it. And Anthony did a really huge work.
You did the work, but yeah.
No, you did.
You
Oh,
both
stop it!
did.
It's Corentin. Corentin did everything.
Corentin, great guy.
Yes, that was me all along.
It's really awesome to have that kind of Pokédex of passengers. It's really good, really good. Could we talk about the music at some point?
I definitely think we should talk about the music at some point. I'm going to drive to a specific location just for that.
Is there music in the game?
Yeah.
There's a bit of music.
I just did the Pasidex.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drive to one of the gas stations now, and I'm actually going to turn up the sound a little bit on the game because I've been having it.
Yeah, you go to the gas station, but
Can
only...
we talk about the achievements for the Pasidex? I think we're missing something.
Let's talk.
Like,
We'll do that in a second.
Okay.
Let's go to the gas station only if Liam
because,
pronounce the name of the gas station in French.
The thing is
first-
that I don't want to go. I don't want to go to the. I don't want to listen to the music because it is so good, and then you're gonna buy the soundtrack and not the game. This is what scares me. This is why I don't want you to just put the music. That's it.
So
What's the name of the gas station, Liam?
So guys, I'm gonna totally pronounce it in a second. But this is one of my favorite tracks in the game. Hear that? All of that is Confidant, and it's all done with that little synthesizer behind it. Is that correct?
It is not correct, but
Wait, you didn't make the music?
I've
I've never met this guy in my life. I don't know who he is.
Yeah, the synthesizer behind me is a Korg Policis, and it's not that kind of sound. I did most of the soundtracks with a Rhodes Mark 1 73, and it's on the other side of the room. But unfortunately, I can't move the webcam, so I can't show you.
Can you move?
But it's on my Twitter.
Can you move the Rhodes?
If you go on my Twitter, you can see the actual. It's a kind of piano, but it's not a piano really. But yeah, you can see how it looks. It has a very warm sound.
This is the best ploy that I've heard of like getting new Twitter followers. It's just I can't move the webcam, but if you follow me on Twitter. So, Confidant, what's your Twitter for the folks?
I'm gonna show you my big road.
I can put it in. I can put it in the chat.
You should definitely go check it out. And Confidant, you've posted some links as well to where people can find the soundtrack. I know, which is
Yeah, I'll do that after the $2 dollar.
The soundtrack is really, really good.
it's fantastic.
Guys, come on.
Stop it.
It's true. So
So here we are at La Belle Pompe. And
Perfect French with Italian accent.
If you're in the chat, I think you can ask Liam to say it one more time.
I don't think that's necessary. And here we are at the gas station. I know that's not how it's pronounced. Don't send me death threats. Here is the gas pump, and this is what fills your gas tank. And you can choose how much you want to fill it up. And here comes one of the other parts of the game. So you have this narrative experience, this non-linear world that you can go and explore and meet all these characters. But oh no, you also have 2 resources you need to manage. No, 3 resources. 4 if you count like patience with some of the characters. At the very top, you have time. This is how much time you have left each night. If it runs out, night ends and the game continues. You only have 7 nights to find the killer. So it starts to become quite important what you choose to do with the time you have left. The second resource is gas or fuel or petrol or whatever you want to call it. I don't know if it's diesel or if it's unleaded or whatever, but it's gas. If you run out of gas, what happens?
it's game over.
It's game over. It's not actually game over.
No, it's not.
explode.
What happens is you have to call a tow truck and it costs you a bunch of extra money. It kind of sucks.
Yeah.
So don't run out of gas. It's an unnecessary expense. And here's your money. So we have 355.36 euros. We're going to go into the La Belle Pompe and we are going to buy...
Thank you.
We're going to buy cash. And these are scratch cards you can buy in the game.
Yeah.
You can earn money from that.
You can earn or you can
If you
lose
look.
money. So
You can lose money
gonna-
most of the time.
I'm going to kindly ask that chat, could you channel me some luck energy or whatever? I don't know how this works, but before we scratch this, could we please chat, save us? Because I feel like I just lost 2 euros.
In the chat to channel luck.
Please channel luck in the chat. But the scratch cards is kind of a cool mechanic where you can only buy 1 per night, but
Nobody wants you to win. This is very sad.
nobody cares. I'm crying.
Jesus Christ.
I think you're going to win.
You can actually win millions on this thing.
Yeah,
Allegedly.
not millions, but yeah.
Allegedly. Oh, Tiny Pixels is sending luck. Okay, this is for Tiny Pixels. Oh. No. Perdu, which means you suck.
Which means perdu.
You lose.
We didn't win anything. Okay, so now we can buy a newspaper, which is actually quite useful. So we'll do that.
You know we can actually hack the game and make you win every time.
We'll call you after the stream. Let's set that up. I'll have your people talk to my people. Schedule it. We can talk with the clerk. And so the clerk at the gas station, funnily enough, is one of the really good sources for clues. So we bring up the topic of the serial killer. Cashier looks up and he's obviously bored at the night shift. And boom, we got a clue. That's really good. So gas station, very useful. Now we're gonna leave. But before we go and pick up another passenger, let's talk about the achievements for a second. So the passive decks that we showed earlier, inside of this you have all the characters that you've met. So we're in a fresh save, we've only met 4 characters so far. Each of these has multiple moments. Some of these moments are also achievements in the game. Is that right, Anthony?
It is. So the idea is that you have absolutely incredible number of in-game achievements. We have over 400, I think. So if you wanna track your progression, if you want to make sure that you have seen everything, you have to take a look at those in-game achievements. Some of them will unlock actual achievements or trophies or Steam achievements or and so on, depending on the platform. So this is also a way for you to make sure you have the right beats and you made the right choices. So for me, the Passive Dex is a great tool after you finish playing the game for the first time. Then you want to make sure, you want to focus on characters you didn't see. You want to make sure you are going to pick up different choices during the dialogues and discover new content.
Yep. And it's also a nice reminder for you when you're playing, have I actually met all the suspects? You can kind of go in and cross-reference a bit and see who you've met. But okay, it's time to go pick up another passenger. So we have a few options here. We have Vincent. We have is it Amelie and Lucy? We have Kader. Butcher these names. We have Denis. We have Kroki. We have Peter. We have someone who I forgot the name of.
We have Vincent for some reason. Is so far away. I think there was a good question. I think first of all, Domino really wants you to say La Belle Pompe again.
La Belle Pompe.
Oh God, this is wonderful.
Oh, hold up.
So there is a cat.
Yeah. Why is there a cat?
I think we should do the cat.
That's too late because someone just got into our taxi. Passengers who entered the cab, slams the door and stares at us intently. Oh, we stare back. Totally stare back. It's a showdown. The weapons, 2 pairs of eyes. The goal, you have no idea. I love this. So good. Someone's really, really pissed with us and they've just walked into the taxi.
What did you do? What did you do, Liam?
Good question. This is one of those situations I was talking about before where you start to get to know the driver and what exactly he's been up to his entire life. So we're going to ask, is something wrong? And Ludivine says, if I were to say to you, she has a slightly raspy voice, if I was to say to you, October 27th.
Exactly.
She's pointing at us now. That's the dates. Okay. She's just referenced the night of the attack. She might be the killer. 10:46? She's not the killer. Does that ring a bell? That's her voice. What do we do? Do we say nothing? Do we answer?
You shouldn't say anything. She's scary.
Saying nothing. She's waggling an accusing finger at us. October 27th, in a very cab, driving a flare, and we committed a crime. That's right, sir. A crime. Gotta let her go on. Spent a whole day looking like an idiot working for a newspaper. Do you have any idea what I do for a living? And you can be a little evil. You can say town crier. Which, oh my God. Say nothing. Sub-editor, Mr. Taxi Driver, correcting mistakes. This is like one of the really fun characters.
She's awesome. I like her. So yeah, it was very important for us to get different kind of characters on your backseat, but also different ways for them to get into your cab. So you have most of the characters are passengers that you actually pick up on the sidewalk, but some of them will jump in your cab, and that's the case of Ludivine.
So I just opened another beer. We're drinking French beer today. We're not sponsored, but French beer. It's apparently the worst French beer, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
so we can say nothing again. And I think sometimes there's this inner conflict when you play Nightcall, which is, do you want to tell them like what you're feeling? Do you just want to be rude back to this person? But sometimes the best thing you can do is just to try and take the high road and just be really nice to people. And in this case, this is a character that's really angry with us, so we're just kind of letting her talk, letting her do her thing, even though it would be super funny to just make rude jokes at her. But if we're extra nice to characters, chances are they're going to give us a tip. So we'll see. She's really pissed. Yeah, Nightcall made me start drinking. That's a peculiar flavor. It says, "Honey, where's my donkey?" It's the best name. She found our first address, and so she's been stalking us for a year.
For a few weeks.
Oh, sorry,
yeah.
for a few weeks, of course. It's not.
Yeah.
Still creepy. There was a question in the chat earlier about which was your most challenging character.
Oh yeah.
Let's see.
Um.
I'll try to find that again. What? Okay, so IRL Clem. Hey, IRL Clem. Nice to see you. What was the hardest thing to do in the game? Maybe a character you had lots of trouble with. So I guess this is a question about development, and if there was a character that was extra difficult to create or to come up with.
Yeah, I think that technically the three of us have different answers.
Let's do three answers.
That could be interesting too. Yeah, so I would say mine is probably Jackie. She's a sex worker. She worked in the Bois de Boulogne. And that was really hard to write because, well, she's a sex worker and I'm not one. And I think while doing a lot of research about sex workers and especially sex workers in Paris, I think it was really, I changed a lot of my plans. I think I was more going to talk about clients, but it's not that interesting. Most clients are kind of like it's usually sex work. Those clients are very sad characters, very sad people that have usually their wife left and they are unable to find someone, and it was very sad. So while doing a lot of research, I discovered that you get a lot of there are like factions and like gang wars and turfs. And I was a bit more, I think, interesting to go in there. But I think she's the character I rewrote the most. No.
And she's cool because she has a bit of a connection to the driver as well.
Yeah, she's a friend.
And she's actually one of my favorite characters. But the Jackie theme, I wouldn't say it was easy to write, but it was it came very easily for me to write her theme, and it's I think it's one of my favorite tracks from the game. It's like top 3 for me.
Awesome.
Yeah, she has a great soundtrack. Yeah. So Corentin, who is like the character, the music that was the hardest to write?
Nice question, Anthony. But mine is a bit hard to talk about because I don't want to spoil the.
We say the name.
The quirk, the quirk of the character. Her name is Angélique, and she. I mean, it's not that it's the hardest, but it took the longest to write because. She's kind of a funny character. She has a very unique thing about her, and finding the right balance in the track. Because it's also a track that's very different from the rest of the soundtrack. So it was kind of hard to find that balance. But the actual hardest thing for me was to find a common core in the soundtrack because it's mainly character themed and usually when you write for media, you have the main theme, and you have 2 or 3 character theme, and you have the music that's on the outside that just develops what's happening. But with visual novels and with this game in particular, well, you don't really have music that is outside of the characters or the themes, the main theme that plays for the game. So it was very, very hard to not do the same track for everybody, but also so that it doesn't sound like a racing game or things where you have just a playlist of different tracks that have no connection whatsoever between them. So yeah, that was the hardest thing for me.
And it's really funny that you mentioned Angelique as well, because she just showed up on the map. So we do have the option to pick her up if we want to. What do you say, guys?
I'm perfectly fine with spoiling her.
Yeah, I'm not sure people are actually ready for this, but they are going to learn. So kind of a new language. So
Game's out.
It's good.
Okay, so here we go. Angelique, warning: if harsh language is not your thing, it's probably a good time to tune out, to go have a bath or something. I don't know what people do.
Yeah, quick reminder: our game is ESRB 17+ because of mature theme and strong language, and the strong language is gonna come now.
It's probably this character only. So.
Strong language in 3, 2.
What the fuck?
Here we go.
Good luck, everyone.
The next passenger getting into your cab enters in a cloud of extremely heavy perfume, and she has some kind of furry animal, raw furry. Here we go.
Yeah.
Furry animal around her. It's a well-known scent. You've often seen it advertised in Champs Élysées. Champellieu? I don't know. Trying.
The Champs-Élysées.
Just making it
The
up.
Champs-Élysées.
She's in her 50s, impeccable posture. So far, seems like a pretty proper person. The fur she wears around her neck must be worth several days' pay. She opens her mouth. Good evening. Before you start driving, I just need to tell you something very... She purses her lips, attempting to stifle the word that's about to come out, then raises a finger. Shit! And that's all the streams down. Oh. And she says some other bad words. Continues to look at us.
Yeah.
She's just shouted some gibberish, but her face hasn't budged. It's like she isn't even aware of what she said. This is one of the most fun characters.
Why aren't you reading all the words? I don't understand, Liam.
Doggy foreskin after me. That's why. These are... She says a couple of strange things. But she's truly sorry.
She's truly sorry.
Hear me out, she says. It's a bit of a shocker. We haven't even started driving yet because it's so strange what's going on. She's suffering from major emotional trauma, and she's having these verbal tics. They're exhausting, to be honest. And she hopes you can understand. She's a lot of fun. But the fun thing about Angelique is you have this she has this crazy. She says a bunch of crazy stuff. But underneath, there's just a regular story about a regular human being as well.
She's trying to tell the story, but it's pretty hard.
Yeah, the first time I read that dialogue, at first I was really happy because it was fun and stuff, and in the end, it's a very special character. I love that one.
And my advice is, if you want to start learning French one day, just put Nightcall in French and just play Angelique, and you'll have all the words that you need in French.
Yeah, all the ones.
But yeah, you can imagine that when I first got the script, I had no idea what kind of music to write.
And I think the track that you're hearing now, it's nice because it has this sort of regal. It sounds very proper somehow, but it also has a touch of comedy, and there's something pretty funny about it, I think.
Yeah, I didn't want to just do one of those comedy tracks that you can hear in like animated movie for kids, or the very jumpy tracks. because she also has a kind of a backstory. She can come back into your cab and have something else to say, not just bad words. So yeah, that's the balance I was talking about. It was it's hard to not spoil the story, so I won't say, but yeah, that's why it was hard. It was balancing the two, the funny and the not so funny.
Because like at this point of the track, you can hear it starts to come in with these like these funnier tones, but it's not. It's like you say, it's not. Haha, this track is so funny.
Yeah.
but there is that like. It's so hard to put into words, but there's that undertone of there's something kind of silly going on right now, isn't there? This is kind of strange, and I love that. So it looks like we're getting a bunch more people joining us here on Mixer. So Heard Honey just used the GIF, and that was a cool GIF. I saw it. I was there. And Who Dropped You says this reminds me of the dialogue from This Is the Police. Have any of you played that game?
And Anthony, I think you
a
played
really
that
cool
one,
game.
right?
Yeah, it's a really cool game. It is. I think it is. It's a very interesting game because I think the politics of it are quite disturbing when you think about it. But I really like the game. I think the sequel is really, really good. It's not an inspiration because I played the game quite late. I haven't finished. I think I bought it on Switch like 4 or 5 months ago, and I played like for one evening. But if you're looking for, it's kind of strange, but games like Orwell, where Orwell is kind of a game that inspired us a lot. Where the water tastes like wine. So I think it's more narrative games like these that inspired us. But yeah, the police is quite close, I think.
Awesome. And Angelique is fun because she just tells you this. It's a really normal story, but she's having emotional trauma, so it's hard for it to come across. But she's one of the funnier characters, and then imagine a character this funny, and then imagine the opposite of like a character. It can be quite depressing. I think Nightcall has a lot of the variation of this. It's a very diverse cast.
Also, it's I think it's interesting with her is that the first idea was, hey, this character is gonna have Tourette syndrome, which is the thing we usually see when people have they can't stop shouting slurs and bad words and everything. And then as soon as I started doing some research on that, I realized that first of all it was quite insensitive because it's a devastating illness, and also it absolutely doesn't work the way everybody thinks it works.
Exactly.
So we had to search and change the character a bit. So she's not Tourette syndrome. It's more like a psychological issue, but you will have to play the game to discover what's going on exactly with her. Spoilers! I was gonna say it, but unfortunately, my mic.
And that's the killer, folks. There you go. There you have it. That's Nightcall. Pack it up. A lot of good words in this style.
Yeah, you can imagine that if Anthony is that funny just on a stream, well, the words he writes are just the funniest thing ever. So
You have no idea. No idea.
So there's two other mechanics that we haven't really talked about yet, and those are the newspapers, which we just went and bought one at the gas station earlier this night. You can find these, or you can get these kind of randomly, where some passengers will just drop a newspaper on the seat when they leave, and you can just kind of keep it, which is good. But you can take some time in the night. You can see at the top there, at the timer, or the time bar, I guess, when you hover over the newspaper, it tells you it's going to take you 30 minutes to read this thing. So sometimes there might be clues in it. So we're going to go ahead and read a newspaper. And this, I think, is this really nice kind of... it shakes things up a bit. Some of the clues come from the passengers, some of the clues come from documents that just appear in your apartment for various reasons. Some of them come from going to investigation locations or like points of interest. But some of them just come from like reading the paper or listening to the radio, which we'll do next. What were you guys thinking when you designed these mechanics?
It's for me again? No.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's for you. It's, everything is for you.
Christ.
Even if you did nothing on that game.
So first of all, I think it's the right moment to show my shirt and say, guys, you should really play Demon Stilt. It's a fantastic pinball game on PC and Mac, and it's great. It's
We're
the
gonna,
game
we're
of
gonna
the
kick
game for
Anthony
me.
from
I
the stream.
love it.
Yeah, for that.
I think it's important when you're marketing your own game to also share your. Well, to be honest, the idea with the newspaper and radio was to give you some like break before between passengers.
Yeah.
One of our, I think when we started the game, we had a list of things that were dangerous for the narration in the game, and we were desperately looking for a way to add some variety without leaving the taxi too much. We had other ideas that were unfortunately scrapped, but the newspaper and the radio are a way to find new clues, of course, but also to discover more information about the world. So you're gonna read in the newspaper, you're gonna learn about this new bar opening in Paris, and then a few hours later, you're gonna get this character and she's gonna ask you to bring her to a cool bar. So. Because you read that in the newspaper, you can actually bring her to the right location, and you're gonna get a bigger tip, and so on and so on. So there are a lot of it's a system that will give you some background information about the killers, about the suspects, also giving you new clues and giving you information that you will use as a taxi driver. For the radio, it's mostly the same. There is another option that I think it's something that no one said I shouldn't do, but I did it, and I think everybody should have stopped me. But I simply selected the 20 songs I love the most, and I wrote text about them. So you can read about my favorite songs in the game, which doesn't make
Let's do it.
sense at all.
Let's do it right now.
At all. But I think the funny thing is that I really hope that some people will send me tweets or messages about I'm pretty sure this song is this one, they're going to be able to recognize what's going on.
So we're doing, so this is a challenge now then to the chat. We're going to do a bit of radio, and if someone manages to guess which song this is actually referencing, then I don't know, nothing's going to happen. We'll be really impressed. So here we go. 2 voices in the song. The first belongs to an American rapper who's getting increasingly louder and angrier, and the other is an American superstar, and she's trying to calm the rapper down by repeating 3 lines over and over again.
This is so easy.
I have a theory, but I'm not going to say it. So chat, what song is this? This is a real song. Do you know
It's so easy, honestly.
The song ends and you feel relieved. Does anyone know? Do you guys know? Do the other 2 of you know?
Well, actually, I'm not sure, because the thing is I listen to a lot of hip hop, and this describes a lot of angry American rappers. So.
Fair enough. Laurent, do you know which one it is?
No.
No, I don't think he knows. He doesn't listen to them, I think. I don't think so. And you definitely do not listen to them, Corentin.
Well, chat doesn't know. There we go. We're going to move on. We're never going to find out what the song was. And,
I'm so sorry. I can give it no clues, nothing. Okay,
clues?
It's fine.
As someone thinks it's Rihanna and Eminem, Watch Me Burn.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Not too far, but it's not them.
JDog8989, you tried.
Is it Eminem with Dido, Stan?
So that was what I was going to guess.
It was my favorite Eminem song before he did this one. Not really hip hop, it's rap.
Was it the one with Dido?
No. I love that song actually. I mean, I love Dido. I don't know where she is now, but I love her. It's fine. It's weird because he did 3 duets in his whole life, and you named the 2 first very easily, and then the third one is never going to come out.
Is it Rihanna and Eminem?
It's not Rihanna. Come on.
Someone just guessed that.
Yeah,
I know, but I'm trying again because sometimes
maybe it's true the second time.
So to be really honest, Dido's first album is wonderful, and I don't understand why she never got the career that she deserved. But that's just me. I don't.
Was it Stan?
You know. No, it's not Stan.
Was
When
it
I
the
say
other-
It's a recent.
Yeah, but
Just
sometimes the
tell
second
me
time
what
it works.
attachment.
Nobody will ever understand me.
All right,
Anyway, so
we're
it's
gonna
fine.
move on. We're gonna move on to other stuff in the radio.
Yeah.
So here's an interesting thing in the radio. Sometimes when you tune in, so we did the music option. There's also the option to listen to the news, and occasionally there's a little show called Top News Tonight, and this is one of these call-in shows. You know, those where like you listen to the radio and someone calls and says, "Hey, I saw this thing on the." I don't know. That's probably what it is. You can listen to that
It
if
is,
you want.
yeah.
We're gonna listen to that. Let me see what happens. So at night, listening to the show, it's a woman called Lady Monique taking calls from all over France. And people tell her about their problems, the trivialities of their lives, and Lady Monique listens and gives them advice. Pretty cool show. If anyone in the chat wants to call into the stream and we can listen to your problems, that's not an option because that's totally not what we're doing. But you can imagine how it would be. Oh, Lady Monique is also trying to figure out who the killer is. So,
Yeah.
we tune in at the middle of the show, as usual. She's speaking intimately with a caller she seems to know. It's pretty cool with the personal moments.
Well, actually, Liam, you just had a great idea. I hope the sequel to Nightcall is a game where you play a Twitch streamer and you have to listen to the problems that your chat is having.
You mean a mixer streamer?
Yeah.
Actually, it's a really good idea, Corentin. Can we edit that from the stream so no one
We'll call
steals
it-
it?
we'll call
Oh,
it mixer
shit.
call.
And you have to find the troll in the chat. And there are 3 trolls.
This is a really good idea.
So there you go. Yeah, that's how the radio works. And sometimes, as you see, you can get clues by listening to the radio. It takes you 30 minutes, but sometimes that's a good choice. And especially if there's nobody on the map who you're interested in driving to, that could be the right choice. There we go. Oh no, Domino was about to call in. Domino, sorry man. Next time. So we're going to drive to Crookie the cat, because I know that everyone wants to know what's up with the cat. Why is there a cat stalking the streets of Paris looking for a
why?
taxi?
Is he actually talking?
Let's see.
Okay.
This, speaking of music, okay? Those of you who can hear this, which is everyone on the internet, this is one of the funny tracks, if you ask me. Compared to the one with Angelique.
Honestly, I thought it was one of the saddest tracks, but thanks, Liam. Yes.
The tragedy just deepens. There are a few apartments that still have lights on, a sweet scent hangs in the air. Stubbing out the cigarettes. So we're smoking all the time, this driver is. Here we go. The cat has managed to slip into the cab. It's sitting in the back seat, it's staring at us, and we're sitting there considering whether or not to shoo it away. And then it moves, it shifts position, and a little paper slip falls from its collar. So we can choose to pick up the paper or shoo away the cat. I'm gonna shoo away the cat. He's not budging. I'm gonna shoo him away again.
I think IRL Clem is going to be mad at you if you shoo away the cat.
A dog begins to bark in the distance and a cat leaps out of the vehicle. So this is is one of those situations in the game where we've done the completely wrong thing. I just wanted to show that. I don't want to spoil the cat because it's one of the funniest characters there is. I'm gonna give up on the cat. And now we've completely just wasted time. We've done nothing productive. The cat could have been the killer. But instead, we've made €0. And we've just wasted time. So there you go. That's one way to play the game.
Well, congrats, Liam. You've ruined the fun for everybody.
Don't want to spoil it. I don't want to spoil it.
One of the most disappointing stream I've ever seen.
And that's also the end of the game, right here.
That's the end, yeah.
Yeah.
Cat was the killer. No, we're going to go pick someone else up. So we have a few good options. We have Francois. We have the lady I still don't remember the name of. Again. We have Phil. We have Miriam. We
Yeah,
have
we know.
Anita, who is one of our suspects. Interesting. And we have Mathieu, and we have is it Christophe, the priest.
Yep.
Yes.
Who do you want to pick up? Should we go for Anita because she's one of our suspects, or should we go for someone else? Should we go for Francois?
We should probably go to Anita.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
No, we shouldn't. No, it's too late now.
Okay. Well, we can refuse.
We're
gonna refuse.
Yeah,
We're
we shouldn't.
gonna
We
refuse.
shouldn't do our.
We're gonna go somewhere else. We don't want to spoil too much.
Yeah.
Oh, here's an interesting character. Let's go to her. I don't remember what she's called, but it's the lady who's writing a poem.
Oh, Alicia.
At least.
Where is she?
Alicia Clay?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. She's not on the same. We're not on the same timeline. So yeah. Yeah. Can you? Yeah. No.
This to me is like one of
Alicia.
the funniest characters as well, because she just kind of jumps into your taxi, and she just yells, "Drive, come on." What is Alicia all about? What's her story, Anthony?
Oh god. When we started working on the game, we had a lot of crazy ideas, like, hey, what about someone who will write poems in your car? What about a babysitter? What about a priest? And so on and so on. And she was one of the first characters we wrote, mostly because I think that she's weird and a bit strange, unsettling sometimes. This is exactly the kind of tone I think the game needed. And this is, I don't know, I feel like if you get to see only the same tone, the game would get really boring, and that way you have some diversity, variety in the game, and that was crucial for Nightcall. Alicia is not really based on anyone actually alive, but she's very French, free spirit. Depending on the, I haven't looked at the dialogue, but I think that's the first dialogue. Oh, no, that's the third one. Oh. So yeah, depending on the killer, you're gonna have a different story with Alicia, and she's interesting. Let's say that she's really high, I think.
So
it's a game about night owls also, and I think that Alicia is one of them. She's she's the kind of character you would see only at night.
Yeah, absolutely. So she left the taxi, she came back, and now her mouth is full with something.
Yeah, that's the truffle scene.
That's the truffle. Okay.
Yeah, there was very surprised that Peggy or Yershabi didn't say anything about the drug. But yeah, fine, it's great. I'm gonna go to jail, right?
Yeah, I think.
No, I'm gonna go
So
to jail.
she's
Okay,
on.
fine.
We're gonna ask her if they're hallucinogenic. She shakes her head. They help start the contraction.
I just. Truffles.
I think Alicia's a good example as well of a character that honestly, she doesn't have much useful stuff to say about the investigation. She doesn't really, spoiler alert, but she doesn't help you that much. But she lives in this part of the game, which is she has a fun story to tell, and it's something to explore and to just be enjoyed. And it's such a big part of the game. If you go into Nightcall expecting it to be all about finding a killer, you're really kind of playing the game wrong. It's a game where there is an investigation that needs to be solved and you're on the clock. Absolutely. You've got to figure out who the killer is. But if you go about like being stressed about which passengers to pick up and stuff, you're going to lose part of the magic, which is all of these different characters that just have their own stories to tell. And she's one of those characters.
Because one of the main character of the game is actually the city of Paris. We wanted to depict the city like we know it in a way, with very strange passengers and very normal ones, and then full of human beings and stuff. And yeah, it happens to. Yeah, there is also a serial killer in the city. So there is the investigation part of the game, but yeah, you will probably want to meet the other ones. And Alicia is the right. She is the right example as. Yeah, she's not very useful for the investigation, but she is kind of a very cool break in the stress of the investigation.
Absolutely. And also there was that one point in this dialogue where she didn't mention her, but one of the lines mentioned Jackie, just one of your friends, which Anthony talked about earlier. So even if you're not learning about the killer, you learned something, even if it was small, about the driver, who really is one of the main characters as well, and someone you get to learn a lot more about as you play the game. But and it was a bit of fun. She's a fun character. She's wearing pajamas. Like, what the hell? She gave us a tip of 5 cents. What's that all about?
She is. Yes.
Sorry, I have to interrupt, but I thought the driver was the killer.
We're going to take a quick break, ladies and gentlemen, actually, and we'll be right back with more Night Call. So we've been streaming for about an hour now, so I know you guys probably need a quick break. Go grab some water or something. We're going to roll the trailer.
And Laurent might not be back after spotting the killer.
Please be
No,
back. The killer is not the driver.
Maybe yes. I don't know. I haven't played that game yet.
So we'll be right back with more Night Call. Don't go anywhere. Oh, I pressed the wrong button. Don't go anywhere now.
You are a taxi driver. Paris is your city, and you know its every corner. During one of your night shifts, you get attacked by an unknown serial killer and left for dead. You didn't see the killer's face, and hopefully whoever it was didn't see yours. Fast forward a couple of weeks as you leave the hospital and get back behind the wheel. A corrupt detective gives you an ultimatum. Help her find the killer, or she'll pin the murders on you. Night Call is a noir game where you'll pick up passengers, drive them to their destination, and find time to gather clues and pay your bills. In this non-linear narrative experience designed to be replayable, you can encounter more than 70 characters and find 3 different killers. Among your passengers are 5 suspects, one of them guilty, the rest innocent enough. If one of the suspects enters your taxi, you'd better pay attention. One might accidentally slip some evidence or even decide to finish the job should they recognize you. The killer in one case may be innocent in another. Keep in mind that outside of the investigation, life must go on. Each action you take will cost you precious time. Which passengers do you pick up? What clues do you follow up on? Where do you go? In Night Call, the choices are yours. Just remember, the clock is ticking.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Night Call launch stream. If you're just tuning in, this is Night Call. We're playing it right now to celebrate the fact that we've just launched the game on PC. So it's out now on Steam, it's out on the Windows Store, and it's out on GOG, Cartridge, a bunch of other cool places. If you're interested in the game, this is the place to be, because we're playing it. We're trying not to spoil too much of the story here, and we're taking your questions together with some of the developers of the game. The developers who you can see above me, and one of them is coming back to sit right now, and it is Laurent, project lead, and also
Hello.
one of the 2 programmers on the project. Hello, Laurent. What are you drinking?
Yeah, it's actually beer, but a better one than the one that you have.
Wow. I feel attacked. I feel
All right.
suddenly attacked. Question from Who Dropped Ya? Is it on console or just PC? It's just PC and Mac right now, but it will be coming to consoles most likely later this year. Yeah, it'll be later this year. And we also have some plans to maybe do mobile as well. We'll announce some more about that in the coming months, weeks.
Nice.
So guys, we're back with
You
Nightfall.
said it on the internet. It has to happen now.
Now it's true. You heard it here first, folks. There was a question about Linux earlier, and unfortunately we don't have any version of Linux right now. What would you say, Laurent? Is it possible? It's possible for the future? Maybe?
I'm going to try that because I really want to do a Linux version of the game, but I don't know how hard it will be.
Yeah.
Should be possible. I will try. I can't promise anything.
No promises. Yes, Domino asks, is it available on cartridge? It is. It is indeed. It's available right now. Or it should be, at least. Or else someone fucked up. So yes, we are here. This is night 2 of Nightcall. It is night 2 of 7 nights. And our goal is to find the Sandman in this particular case. There are 3 cases you can play. So 3 different killers that you can try and find. And there are 75 different characters who you can try and meet in this game. So these are the ones we've met so far today on the stream. We've met a couple of pretty interesting ones, including a cat. And we are now going to continue night 2. We're kind of running low on time. It's 2:38, so we have another hour and 22 minutes before the night ends. We have 3 people on the map right now that we can go to. So we have Sean, we have the lady whose name I've still forgotten, who keeps showing up as if to mock me, and we have
Angelique.
no, it's not Angelique. Someone else.
Oh, okay.
We met her already.
That's it.
We also have Jackie. So, Sean, mysterious woman, or Jackie? What do you guys think?
Well, I love Jackie, so
Jackie?
I'd go for Sean, but I will follow.
Sean? And
I will
Anthony,
follow your choice.
Who do you vote for?
Yeah, Sean.
Sean?
Sean's nice.
Sean, there we
I
go.
like him.
Let's go.
He's a nice guy.
Is that an anarchy symbol on his hat, or is it the Eiffel Tower?
No.
that's actually that's that's actually the logo for a very famous football club
Oh!
that might be playing in Paris. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Shows what I know about football. Very little.
Yeah, we can see that.
Here we go.
Awkward.
Oh, cool. We're just going to continue with this passenger.
Speaking of that, could we talk about the artwork and the graphics?
Yes, we should absolutely talk about the artwork and the graphics.
Yeah, because it's a very important part of the mood of the game, and it's really. I feel like it's good to have a black and white game, to be honest.
Yes.
And all the passengers are unique, and the narrative is unique, but also the artwork, and all are animated. And it has been done by the studio Black Muffin, who was working on the project. And it's really cool, because I feel like if you see some screenshot of the game, you can totally recognize it and remember what game is, because it's really different from what you see elsewhere. So it's cool.
Yeah.
The
If I
team
can
behind
add
it,
something, I would just say that the
Black Muffin.
so when Black Muffin created they created a fake trailer a long time ago. It was like 2 years and a half maybe now, and that was what was amazing is that it didn't change at all. That was exactly what we saw the trailer. We were like, that's it. That's exactly what we want. And there is some sort of he was. We were sure on that. We were so sure on that side that we didn't have to say a lot to them. It was just they came up to us with the idea, and we went on board. And I don't think the game would be. I know that the game would not be the same without them. That's a fact.
So would you say that there was a question in the chat there? Like, was it always the plan to have Nightcall be black and white?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I don't know. Maybe Laurent, you have a no?
No. At first, when we thought about Nightcall, the very first concept, it wasn't really Nightcall, to be honest. But it was in a taxi with that very moody, jazzy game in black and white, obviously. And then we started working on Nightcall, and we wondered about colors. And at some point, we wanted to have black and white in the taxi and colors outside for the city. It was a way to explain visually that what happens in the taxi stays in the taxi, and it's a small bubble out of space and time where you can't be touched or harmed or whatever. And it's something we didn't do because at the end it didn't really work, and it was easier to have everything in black and white to be sure that everything has the same tone and color scheme. But it was a cool idea. But when we started working on it and started the first black and white sketches, it was obvious that it was the way to go, and to make a game very easy to to remember and something different from what you see usually.
So do you want to talk a little bit about Sean, the character who's currently in the taxi?
It's first of all, I really want to say hello to Gus, one of my friends, just sending me a message, telling me he's on the chat somewhere.
Hello.
So hey.
We love you.
I've known him for like 9 years, so technically I've known him more than Laurent. So yeah.
Gus is talking in the chat. He says,
he's there.
J'arrête de jouer le live d'abord. So he hates that we're live, and he's totally on board.
That's very French.
Wonderful. So very, very early on the project, we wanted, even if the game is happening at night in Paris, we wanted to have some tourists, and unfortunately I don't think we have as many as we wanted to have, because still we had in mind a lot of Parisian and French themes, but there is something, I don't remember exactly when I wrote it, but it was probably during we had a lot of protests for the last year in France, and someone said that those protests against the yellow vest, as you probably heard, were, a lot of people were saying, "Wow, this is the first time like the French police is actually attacking people like this," and a lot of people living in the suburbs were just like shrugging, like, "No, actually, they've been doing it for years." And I couldn't really find the right story to talk about that, but this is a subject that is very important in the States, and I thought it was kind of natural to have an American student in Paris, someone who is, even if he is from quite a wealthy background, is still struggling because of his skin. And Shannon and the driver have actually they share a moment where they are telling each other about the problems that they had to face, whether in France or in the States. And of course, because it was already a very depressing story, is studying to become a mime in Paris, and that is Nightcall for you.
Thanks for depressing us all, Anthony.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, but he's a mime. He's a mime. It's fun. Even if he's talking about depressing stuff, he's a mime, so everything's fine.
Just balances it out. It's fine now.
Yeah, of course. I mean,
It's perfect.
Yeah.
So it's a question from who dropped you on the Mixer chat. Any plans for free post-launch content or paid DLC? And Julius Caesar also asked the exact same question in the Steam chat, funnily enough. So it's almost like it's the same person. Maybe it isn't.
Yeah, maybe it is.
But
Yeah.
I can answer that. We will 100% be doing more content for Nightcall. And whether or not it's going to be free or paid, we're still having to just figure some details out there. There's more stuff to come with the game. This is just a start. And I can also say that with any game, there's always going to be issues that come up. And we're absolutely dedicated to patching those things out and making sure that any issues that get reported, we take a look at them and we try to patch them out as soon as we can. There will be some time now just after launch where these guys, they gotta sleep for a bit because they haven't really slept much lately. But you can definitely expect patches to come out over the next couple of weeks with fixes for any kind of issues that you find. And then once some of those things are out of the way, we'll start focusing a little more on new content and the future for Nightcall. Slippy says, congrats for the launch, looking awesome.
Thank you.
No, Slippy, you look awesome.
Yeah, you look awesome.
Shen is not that depressing, honestly.
No, I was joking. Lucky.
Oh, God.
Actually, that was what I was saying earlier about the thing that Nightcall is not a depressing game to play. That's why I think it's very well written. It's because you have Sean, which his character theme, theme as in writing theme, is has very dark undertones. But the way it's treated, it's not that it's light, but it manages to not just depress you and make you feel bad. It makes you move forward. It's hard to put English words on it, but I think you know what I mean, Anthony. Maybe you have better words, or Liam, to explain what I'm saying.
Well, I mean, I think there's the connection that you get with what feels like a human being as well. Like, they're telling you this really sad story, but on some level, as Anthony said earlier, you're connecting. Like, the driver and Sean are connecting on some level and understand each other. And it's not just about this tragedy, but now, like, we're talking about, what are you studying? And he's telling us, I'm studying to be a mime. I think that's what's interesting, is the characters aren't just 100% depressing, like you're saying. They have more to them. Like any person. Oh man, this is taking a turn. But let's not go into depression as a subject in real life, maybe. But the point is, even in cases where someone is obviously upset and has a troubling time, you still kind of find the light and find the connection with other human beings. And I think this is one of those scenes where you can feel that. Is that what you were trying to get at?
Yeah, well, my point was just saying that Anthony is a genius and you should play the game because his writing is so good.
It's true. It's true.
Thank you very much. That was not exactly before that, there was you were making a really good point. It's not about look at those people, they are so sad and their life sucks. It's more about well, life is not easy, it's hard, and then those people are trying to find solutions and fighting to get out of their own misery. And I think it's not all of them. I mean, some are actually funny.
Yeah,
come on.
There's this one character that, like, we never want to spoil too much, but there's one character who she's in love, and there's an interesting scene with her where you get to talk about what is she going to do about the fact that she's in love with somebody, and that person basically lives really, really far away. And you can give her advice, and you can kind of say, well, maybe it's not meant to be, you're so far apart, it's probably not going to work out. You can say that if you want to. Or you can tell her, well, you know what? You should just go be with her. And she has these really good reactions to your choices that you make, and it just makes that scene so special. And like, a lot of the time, the thing you want to hear as a person isn't the thing you should hear, and it isn't really the thing you believe. But sometimes you need to hear the thing that you probably don't really dare to believe in. You just, as a person, you need to hear someone else say it. And that's one of those scenes where if you just kind of say, you should go for it, she has this really good reaction.
You're making a great point. I think what's fascinating about the way the game is written is that it's very different from RPGs or even other visual novels where you can put points and charisma and just like modulate the relationship that you have with someone the way you want. What's very good about Nightcall, I think, is that it's about the human connection you make with the people in your taxi, and I think that's why it's very different from let's say, I don't know, a Witcher quest where you just go out and see someone and you can tell him to do this thing or not, and it just goes away. In that you can influence the conversation, of course, but you're just making a very sincere connection with the people that talk to you.
Agree. So a couple of things we need to address in the chat. Slippy says, "Congrats for the launch, looking awesome." Oh, we already said, Slippy, you look awesome. Sorry, we did that already. Oh man. Motown says, "Hey boys, Motown is in town." Hi Motown, good to see you. Clark's Kent says that the game takes place in Motown, actually, which is interesting. So the game takes place inside of Motown. Okay. It's actually Paris, but sure. And Thumas says, "You're great, keep going, you're good streamers."
Oh,
thank you.
That's nice.
That's pretty nice there.
That's not true, but it's very nice.
No, but that's
It's a lie, but we accept it.
Yeah, Liam does everything.
So here, just for everybody, this is the first time we're seeing this screen, which is the end of the night, end of the shift rather, where we get to see all of these different moments that took place. So like, we met Alicia. What happened with Alicia, you might wonder? Well, she finished her poem named Truffle. And we get this like nice recap of all of the moments that we had during the night. This is one of my favorite things in the game, actually, is just getting to sort of sit back at the end of it, and we can look at the fact that we actually, oh man, we really screwed up. We didn't make any money this night. We lost lots of money this night. We started off with 382 euros. We ended up with 294. That's horrible. So that could have been better, but we get to see all these nice moments, and we get to kind of see them just, recapped. It's really cool. Sorry, I'm geeking out.
No, I was just about to say, you're a great streamer, and you don't even use your soundboard anymore. So,
hold up.
That speaks to the
Is
quality.
it time to use the soundboard? It's time to use the
soundboard.
soundboard.
Perfect.
And the stream is going down right now.
Stream's over, everybody.
And now you can imagine us working with that guy using that soundboard every time we have a call,
2 years
and we have to talk about numbers and cutting things in the game, and he just rush on the soundboard. It's so complicated to work with.
The filthy lie.
He screamed on us with that soundboard. He was so pissed. I mean, I don't want to talk about it, but it's really, really painful for everyone.
Mean people.
There's another sound. That's for you, Gordon. You'll know what it means if he's watching.
Yeah.
Question from Austin Powers 92. Is it out on Xbox? Not yet.
Not yet. Soon.
Just like Domino said in the chat, it's going to come out for consoles a little later. I can say this. We were planning on releasing PC and console at the same time, but there is a bit of a different process with releasing games on consoles. Basically, what you have to do is you have to have the game ready a little earlier in order to submit it to Xbox or to Sony or whoever else, Nintendo, and they review the games and they go through a bit of a process that can actually take months. And we reached a point during development where we just kind of realized it's not where it needs to be yet in order for that point to get there. So we decided to take some more time with the console versions, and Anthony's getting visited. So yeah, we're going to be out on consoles a little later this year, but I think the key right now is PC is just the first launch. This is the beginning of something that we'll continue to work on and improve, and it will come out to the consoles. Hopefully we'll come out to Linux as well, and hopefully we'll be able to do a mobile version too. So We'll be able to play Nightcall everywhere, which would be nice. So yeah, there we go. Here we go. This is the end of Night 2, and we've acquired a couple of new documents. So this is an interesting part that happens over the course of the game. Sometimes you find documents during the night which you then bring back to your apartment and you can spend time analyzing or investigating. And these take a different amount of time. So you can see at the top right the time that it's going to cost me to look at all these documents. This one here, Chris's criminal records, is actually going to take an hour to investigate, whereas the autopsy report for victim number 3 takes me 45 minutes. So if you choose carefully which ones you think seem the most relevant, which might be the most important for the case, you can come up with some nice clues. But in this particular night, it looks like we have time actually to read all of them. No, we don't. Oh no. So we're going to do... what do you think, guys? Should we do the killer case from Busset, or should we do the criminal records of Chris from Busset?
I mean, I don't know.
Police,
It's your call.
police report is
Say.
maybe...
It's Nightcall, actually.
Yeah, it's your night call. Sorry, guys. It's actually the 100th time we did that joke.
It's the joke that never dies.
Yeah.
What do you
And
think?
we are
As well?
still very ashamed of doing it every time.
Should we do the killer case, or should we do
Yep.
Chris's criminal records? What do you think?
No, killer case.
Killer case. Okay, so first, before we
Yep.
do that, I'm going to move. We have a bunch of clues on our board right now, and we talked a little bit earlier about something, which is that the character you're playing, the driver, he is not a professional investigator in any means. He's not Sherlock Holmes. He's not good at this. He's an amateur. So the board that you have over the course of the game, when you start to get more and more clues, one of the keys is to actually kind of keep this a little bit clean. So I'm moving around a couple of clues here. You can see some of them are attached to specific suspects that we have. So victim 2 strangled in the post-mortem, it was revealed. That is totally something that would point to Christoph being the killer. So that's an attached clue to him. We have a few here that aren't really relevant for a specific suspect as far as we know. So we'll keep those at the bottom. This is how I like to keep my board clean. You can keep your board clean however you like. And it's not a euphemism for anything, by the way. We're going to go down and we're going to analyze the killer case. I'm going to see what we get. 4 new clues. So you can see now, we just kind of drop into the board here. We've got a muscle relaxant equals pancuronium bromide. This is what's this like? This doesn't mean anything. We're not a chemist, so I'm just going to put that down there. It doesn't help us at all. Death by injection of a muscle relaxant leading to asphyxia. That's maybe interesting. That might give us a clue, but in this case, we don't know which suspect this is related to. But this, if someone seems like they might have a muscle relaxant, or maybe they're a chemist, I don't know. Maybe that one would be relevant for something like that. And the source in this case is a cop, right? Sometimes you get clues which are kind of funny because you might get them from like the gas station clerk, and you might realize, yeah, here's a good example. We heard this at a gas station. The witness described the killer as an old man or woman. Whether or not this is actually true is up to you as the player to figure out and to determine. So some of these clues are going to point you in certain directions, but they may not actually make sense or be true. So we heard this at a gas station. Is that really more relevant than a police report? It's up to you. Up to you to decide. So guys, when building the investigation system, especially like on the code side, Laurent, what were some of the big challenges?
Anthony was the biggest.
Anthony was the challenge.
Yes, because we wanted to make something that you can actually beat, and we wanted to make something that you could understand, but that wouldn't be too easy to beat. It had to have some challenges. So the complicated part here was about having all these different clues coming from various sources, mix them with the time management, because when you investigate on a specific document to have new clues, it will require some time. And knowing which clue is linked to which suspect, and the combination of clues, because some clues can unlock new ones. It was really tricky to do. I think the first goal was to be sure that you end up with a very messy board, because we wanted the players to feel like they are actually overwhelmed with clues. And on the writing side, the very tricky part was to be sure that everything could be clear enough, and to be sure that the player who is going to actually play the game and read the game will have no problem finding the killer. All these tiny parts put together were very complicated to do, so I think we managed to do something that is okay. From what I saw, a lot of people managed to find the killer, so I think it's okay, but some of them couldn't. So in a way, if you don't pay too much attention to what you're doing in the game, you can actually lose because of that. So complicated system to build, really.
Absolutely. And this went it went through a lot of iteration as well. I know there were a couple of early versions of this that they got changed quite a bit before release. So it's been a really interesting system to see develop over time.
Yeah, at first we wanted players to, pin the clues themselves, but everything became very, very complicated. So we decided to do something that would do that automatically. And now it feels like it's easier, but it's not that easy. Yeah, when you will play, you'll see that it's not that easy, but it's possible.
Right. And a little shout out as well to a thing. We actually just released the official soundtrack for the game on Steam.
Oh, cool.
So if you want to pick that up, it's now live on Steam. If you're watching from the Steam land, just refresh the page, scroll down, press buy now on the official soundtrack. It's really cool. It contains, 37 tracks? 42?
Yeah, 37.
37 tracks. It's crazy.
Yeah. If I can just add something about the soundtrack.
No, you can't.
I think that honestly,
You can.
you should buy the game and the soundtrack together right away, because otherwise it's a pain, because you're gonna play the game, they're gonna be like, oh my god, the soundtrack is awesome, and you're gonna have to go back to the store and buy. It's just a lot of it's a lot of hassle. So just buy the two of them together, because it's really good.
You can find the soundtrack in a few different places as well. It's on Bandcamp, it's on Spotify and everything. So it's kind of up to you where you want to buy it. And obviously, if you want to support Corentin, who made the soundtrack, a little extra, go pick it up for full price, and he'll be super happy. And he can buy.
No, just take what's best for you. You can listen to it on Spotify. I don't mind. So just what's the
Bandcamp, really awesome. I just wanted to say that. Because he said a lot of good things about me, but working with Corentin was a real pleasure, and I listened to a lot of music. I was really very important for me to have an interesting, important collaboration, and I'm so happy that we had Corentin, because I've known Corentin for a long time, also, really long time, from Twitter, and. I just said, hey, we should ask him, we never know, maybe he's gonna have the right sound for us, and I think he was the perfect sound for the game.
Yeah. I remember when I came to you and I said we need someone for the sound, and you said, I think I know someone.
Yeah, because I thought I knew someone, and I was right. So very happy about that.
It's a good thing that the stream has a black and white feature, because I'm all red right now.
Yeah.
What's wrong with your eyes? What's going on?
Because you're smoking drugs.
That's right.
No drugs. Shout out to Haywire Xbox One, watching from the Xbox, needs a PC for sure. This looks great. No, you look great. And thanks for following as well. We keep making that joke all night. Something else. Oh yeah,
fine.
I Hoydor just used the GIF on Mixer, and it was really cool. So thanks for that. Thanks for spending the embers. Appreciate it. We're talking to Phil right now. And Phil is one of the characters that he's fun. He's a trip. Phil is this good-looking guy who's basically figured out the way to pick up women. That's what he does. He's a pickup artist. And he will tell you his methods, whether you want to hear him or not. He's going to tell you. He's just that kind of person. And it gives you this insight into the driver. I think, to me, this story about Phil is actually a little bit about the driver, because the choices that you get are very much what he feels. So Phil asks you, what is the mistake that men, or no, what is the mistake that like pickup books are making, right? And so the driver has 3 choices that he gives you. You can say they're written by men, which is like, it gives you a bit of his worldview. They're stupid, it's a bit funny, or you could say nothing. So what you're learning here is, it's not just about your opinions as a player. You're playing a character that has their own opinions, and your choices are to influence and kind of pull the strings into having him maybe say what he thinks, or lying, or not saying anything. And this is one of those cases where you can just choose to say nothing and not express the driver's opinion. So in this case, we're going to just listen, and Phil's going to tell us all this crap that he likes to tell, and hopefully he's going to give us a tip at the end of the ride, because we shut up and listen to his thing. And it kind of hurts when you do it. Like, or at least for me it does. I don't know. Everyone's different. So guys, we've been streaming now for about 2 hours. I think we're going to do about 15 more minutes, if you're up for it.
Yep. I mean, sure.
Yeah, we'll do about 15 more minutes. So if you have any questions for the developers of Nightcall, we have 3 of them. Coincidentally, like they just happen to be here on stream celebrating the release of Nightcall. So if you have any questions for them, now is a good time to get those questions in chat. We're watching the Steam chat, we're watching the Mixer chat, so drop them in. Haywire is watching this from Australia and can't sleep. Thank you so much for tuning in. We hope that after the stream you have a little nap at least.
So funny story, but part of the game was written in Australia. I went there for 2 months.
Whereabouts in Australia?
I was in Sydney, Melbourne, and Perth, and I couldn't believe my eyes. I absolutely loved Australia, and I loved Australians. They're so nice, and the food is so good, and I don't know. It's amazing country. Unfortunately I don't remember which character I wrote there, but. I think that the judge case was written there. Most of the scenes from a few characters from that case. So yeah, that's. But I love Australia. So yeah, shout out to Australia.
Shout out to Australia.
I love.
Willed Jupiter 8 asks, is this on Xbox? No, not yet, but it will be on Xbox later this year. Question from Devil Spawn 666, aka the number of the beast. How much will this game be? The game is $19.99 in the currencies of US dollars and European euros and similar and other stuff. Stuff. Monies. We're just letting Phil talk here. We're just letting him do his thing. Like sometimes this is a tip for the players who are going to pick up Nightcall after the stream. If you're just quiet, sometimes it's the best choice, but with some characters, being quiet will lose. You'll lose out on stories that are very relevant to the investigation. So sometimes being quiet is the right choice. Sometimes, though, being quiet is the worst choice. So think about when you want to be quiet and when you don't want to be quiet. Gus asks, will this be live on YouTube later? That is a good question. Probably is the answer. Probably. Yes. We'll see. We'll see if we can figure out how to get it onto YouTube as well. But the replay of this stream will be available on mixer.com/rawfury. It's going to be up for 2 weeks, so you can go check it out there as well. And guys, because we're streaming for about 10 more minutes, is there anything that you'd like to say about Nightcall that is a memory you'll never forget? About the development of the game, about stuff that happened around it? And Corentin, you can start if you want.
Well, it's a tough question because, very honestly, the whole project was just super cool and super fun to go through. So I'm not sure if there are like one specific moment. There was a lot. I think like every meeting that we had together, it was very fun because you were leading very well, Liam. Because we are praising each other a lot, but actually Liam is the one who hold everything together and push everyone forward. So there's no game without Liam.
I made some
Don't
bad
forget-
jokes on Slack calls for 2 years. It's
Don't
easy.
forget to praise Liam afterwards, or right now, actually. But I mean, I can share one of my favorite things about the game, which is one character, and she's a student in cinema. And I think that's one of the best characters that Anthony wrote. It's one of my favorite track for a character that I wrote, and yeah, just that's one of the characters I think that there's something that's very special about this game, and that you find nowhere else. It's the connection you have with that character. At least I had. So yeah, that's the big thing for me and Nightcall.
Could you say which character that is? Could you say the name, or is that a spoiler?
Yeah, I mean, sure, it's Leia. Leia, yeah, she's a student in cinema. I used to be studying cinema too, and she's at a point in her life where she loves cinema. She might be a bit lost herself in what she wants to do. So yeah, I think she's a very touching and just an all-around great character.
I'm gonna go. By the way, before I let Laurent say, I'm gonna go pick up Denis now. Is that okay?
Yeah, why not?
This is a funny character. Laurent, what's been one of the best moments for you working on this game?
Well, there are two moments actually. The first one is the game was shown at E3, so the development team is spread out in France, so we basically don't live in the same city. So it could be. Sometimes it was difficult for us to work and to synchronize together, but we managed to do that in a way. But knowing that the game was going to E3 and was shown there was such a huge achievement for us, that the evening we spent all together waiting for that trailer to be displayed in front of the world and the world and the game be announced. It was a very special moment. So thank you, Raw Fury, for that. It was really, really special. And the other one is the first time that we added the music in the build, and at a very specific moment, I tested the game and I played the passenger, and we had that animation going so smoothly with the music and the mood and the cameras and the dialogue. Everything was really perfect until the next bug, but it was really, really good. And the very first moment that happened, it was really, really super cool.
Definitely. What about you, Anthony?
I think it's maybe it's the moment where I had to remove all the slurs from the demo because our partner didn't want slurs. No, I think no. It was when we attended Gamescom last year. Nintendo invited us on their floor in the arena to show the game, and we were surrounded by incredible games. That was mind blowing. And someone was playing the game, and that was the first time we actually showed the game to the public. That was kind of strange. And that person just turned around and they were crying. I think that was the moment where I kind of knew that we had something. I don't know if it was good or bad, or it's really hard to have an objective look on your game, especially when you work so long and I mean that was kind of difficult to be like, oh, of course it's crying because the game is good. It's more like, well, okay, we have something that is special, and we need to make sure we protect that special thing until the game is released. And that means that sometimes we had to say no to certain opportunities, and then we had to remove some texts from the game because they were not good enough. Or so yeah, that was that moment, that person turning around and crying. No.
I'm gonna tell you the story real quick about when Laurent sent a little care package to the Raw Fury office, and it was funny because he tells me, this is like it's not one of my best moments in the game, but it's one of the funniest. He tells me, I think it's on a Tuesday or something. He's like, so there's a package that's coming to your office. It's going to be there this week. Let me know it when you get it. I'm like, okay, cool. It's going to be exciting. We'll see what he sends. And the day after, he asks, did the package arrive yet? I'm like, no, it hasn't. It's been one day. Come on. And then one more day goes. It's Friday. And he says, has the package arrived? And I say, no, it's nowhere to be seen. And he seems worried, and I don't know why. I have no idea what's in this package. And Monday morning comes around. I get into the office. Funnily enough, I'm alone in the office that day. And I see that there's a note to go get a package from the post office. So I go to the post office, hand in the note, and the guy kind of looks at me in a way that nobody usually looks at you when you're going to pick up a package. And he kind of goes back and he says, I think there might be something in this because it smells a bit. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And he gives me the package, and it's this pretty big one. And there's some sort of smell going on, and I'm curious, like, what the hell? What's going on? So I go back to the office with it, and I open it up. And Laurent has packaged this bottle of really nice champagne. Thank you. It was really good. And there was this little sausage thing. There's some candies, which I may have totally eaten almost all of without really sharing too much. They were in the fridge. It was public, but I may have eaten all of them because they were amazing. And there was a cheese. And Laurent, you sent us a cheese, man. And
yeah, I know.
I love that you
but
did.
They told me it would be okay.
Yeah, but see, the thing is, and this is a little life advice for everyone at home. If cheese is stored in a parcel and not refrigerated for like 6 days in a row, it creates something called cheese juice,
or life, also known as life.
And that stench was. I opened every single window in the office. I took it all the way down to the garbage room, and it was stinking for a whole day. So I didn't actually try the cheese. I'm really sorry. But everything else was so nice. So thank you. Merci for that.
They told me it would arrive on time.
Yeah,
so
it's post offices for you. A couple of other questions from the chat. GFX47 asks, how was it for the dev team to work with Raw Fury, and how was it for Raw Fury to work with the dev team? So I can start really quickly by saying
no.
It's been fantastic. Seriously, this I've worked with a few teams by now, which always feels weird to say, but I've worked on a couple of different games, and you know, sometimes you know very early on that something is magical, and Nightcall is one of those. This is one of the games when people ask me like what has been some of the coolest games you've ever had a chance to work on. This is one of the ones that I think about instantly because it has a magic to it that is. It's so unlike any other game that I've played, to be honest, and that I've been a part of. So I'm super proud to just get to be a part of this game, even in a small capacity, and getting to work with some really talented people, which people above me right now, if you're looking in the chat, they're not physically above me, but we're in different countries. But yeah, guys, you're fantic, really.
You're gonna make me cry.
What about you? How's it been to work with Raw Fury?
You are really good at selling games. It's the proof.
I think there is a really simple way to sum it up, is that we are French, so we are used to being always annoyed and complaining and everything, and I have nothing to say, nothing negative to say. Like,
The-
yeah.
In 2
I love-
2 years, there is
I love
only
you,
one
Liam.
time we couldn't agree on something. At one point, in 2 years, at one point you said, but don't you think it could be better to add this or that? And we looked at you and said, but it's not the game we want to do.
Yeah.
And at that specific moment where probably other publishers would have said, yeah, but do it anyway, you told us, oh, so that is the game you want to make. We are going to do that game, and we are going to follow you on that. And it was, even if Raw Fury is based on a lot of mean people, really mean people, and bad ones, but some of them are really, really cool, and you have always been so supportive and so good with us.
Thank you.
You spoiled us too much, and again, you helped us sending the game to E3. So basically, it's awesome. It's the best achievement for us, and we are very, very proud to have found a publisher like you. And to finish on that, when I tell my game developer friends how it is to work with you, some of them just don't believe me. So it has been a very, very cool experience. Really cool.
That's awesome to hear. We pay extra for them to say these things, by the way.
Yeah, that's why
it's really
why
useful. It's great publicity.
Yeah.
No,
And the
it's
extra
cool.
money is always good.
There's a lot of talk and chat about cheese juice right now. So it's another question from Gus. If you were 2 years back, would you create exactly the same game? In other words, would you have achieved what you had in mind, or did the concept evolve a lot? It's a good question.
Anthony.
It's funny because I think it's a weird and it's a very pretentious answer, but everything I was sure of on the first day turned out to be working, and all the things I was not sure is the things where I think most people have complaints or feedbacks. So I think there's something I have a personal journey to do on my side. But just to give a slightly longer answer, the answer would be actually I would do things in a different order. I think we waited a bit too long for certain elements of the game, and in the long run, it cost us a lot. But aside from that, absolutely not. And the thing is that the trailer that the Muffins did, the prototype that we did 3 years ago,
The Muffins,
everything is,
by the way, is Black Muffin Studio. You can see.
Yeah,
the
Black Muffin. Sorry, the Black Muffin Studio, the two. So Sandra and Matthew, not the actual pastry, of course. I mean, everything that we did 2-3 years ago, everything is pretty much the same, and I think that says something about our vision. Like, we knew where we were going, and even if the destination is not perfect, this is the destination we were aiming for. So that's what I'm quite proud of. That's it. I'm gonna cry now.
I think it's a good point as well about like how games tend to come about. When you mentioned the Black Muffin team, I feel like Nightcall was a game that very early on you knew what it looks like. And I think a lot of the time games kind of get either the design clicks very early but the art doesn't, or the art clicks very early but the design doesn't. And personally, I feel like Nightcall kind of clicked on the visual side first, but also on the narrative side. And then there was a bit of like, how does the gameplay function and how does all of the design kind of come together? That took a little longer, which is a completely natural process. But very early on, like when you play the absolute first version of the game that we ever played, which unfortunately we don't have anymore. I don't know where that build has ended up. I wish I had it, because I would love to just show that to everyone now, because you can see the visual style was already there. It's a lot more polished now. It's a lot nicer and cleaner, but very early on it was clear like what Nightcall looked like, and then all of these fantastic stories and the cool like investigation mechanics and everything around it just kind of grew over time. So it's been really fun to see this grow. Okay, everyone.
It's going to be even better.
It is.
And better, because we are going to we will improve that if we can. So it's going to be fun.
Absolutely. So, guys, unless there are any last questions from the chat, we're going to be wrapping up the stream. We played 2 nights. We met. Let's see how many characters we met. We met quite a few, but there's also a lot left to discover. So we didn't spoil too much, I don't think. We didn't find the killer, unless the killer was the cat, in which case we totally missed out because we told the cat to get lost. Which is bad. But there you have it. That is a little peek into Nightcall. So thank you so much to everybody who tuned in for this stream. And thank you so much, Laurent, Conaton, and Anthony for joining the stream. If there are any final questions, drop them in the chat. Quickly, Mr. Helmet asks, is the Sunny character the guy in the upper corner? Busted! Maybe it is.
He looks like that, but he's not.
It's a bit similar. Question from Domino, will Laurent finally get some rest? I will force him to rest.
Yes, yes.
No. Tonight is the night. Tonight I will probably sleep more than 5 hours, so
Good.
It's more than basically last week. It's going to be awesome.
Fantastic. So unless there's any final chat questions, guys, is there anything else you want to say to viewers at home about Nightcall, about life?
Thank you.
We love you.
Yeah, thank you
very
for
much.
everything. Thank you for the support. It was really awesome. It's awesome to have you on our side. I really hope that you're going to enjoy Nightcall. And yeah, we are available on Twitter, Discord, or wherever you want to talk with us, and I will be pleased to answer your questions. And if there is something wrong in Nightcall or something cool, please share with us, and we are going to fix it if we can. And if it's a very cool thing, we are always happy to hear about that. So thank you for the support. Really, it matters. Thank you.
And thank you, Liam, for hosting the stream.
Yes.
Thank you, Liam.
Thank you,
guys.
Liam.
Thank you.
Good luck with those awful French beers.
No, thank you.
Yep.
I'm actually done with the 2 beers now. I'm on some French cider right now. It's called Cidre.
Ah,
It's organic.
Cidre.
It has a little ladybug, and I'm not sponsored by it, so I'm not gonna. But yes, absolutely. Domino makes a good point in the chat as well. If you are interested in finding the developers and asking more questions about Nightcall, if you want to chat with other people who are playing, definitely check out discord.gg/rawfury. That's discord.gg/rawfury. And you can meet
That's
them,
a good
you can pester them, and you can ask them questions or give them feedback. We hang out there all the time. And also, if you are so inclined, there is an official wiki now for Nightcall as well. You can find it on the website, nightcallgame.com, or you can go to rawfury.com. You can check out Nightcall there. There's an official wiki, which would be really fun to start seeing some growth on. So if you find something cool, put it in the wiki. It'd be really interesting to see some of the secret stuff in the game that people start to discover for themselves. And there you have it. That's Nightcall, as slowly played over the course of 2.5 hours. We didn't really accomplish much in the game, but we had fun. And thanks again, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining.
thanks everyone.
Thank you.
We'll see you next
Have
time.
a great evening, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Have a great evening. Bye.
Bye.
You are a taxi driver. Paris is your city, and you know it's every corner. During one of your night shifts, you get attacked by an unknown serial killer and left for dead. You didn't see the killer's face, and hopefully whoever it was didn't see yours. Fast forward a couple of weeks as you leave the hospital and get back behind the wheel. A corrupt detective gives you an ultimatum. Help her find the killer, or she'll pin the murders on you. Nightcall is a noir game where you'll pick up passengers, drive them to their destination, and find time to gather clues and pay your bills. In this non-linear narrative experience designed to be replayable, you can encounter more than 70 characters and find 3 different killers. Among your passengers are 5 suspects, one of them guilty, the rest innocent enough. If one of the suspects enters your taxi, you'd better pay attention. One might accidentally slip some evidence or even decide to finish the job should they recognize you. The killer in one case may be innocent in another. Keep in mind that outside of the investigation, life must go on. Each action you take will cost you precious time. Which passengers do you pick up? What clues do you follow up on? Where do you go? In Night Call, the choices are yours. Just remember, the clock is ticking.